Hello and welcome to the Sports Doyen. We're here for another Premier League preview, and today I have the entire ensemble with me. I have Sushil, Anurag, Pratmesh, and Salaksh. I'm sure they're all eager to see the Premier League back. You've had a lot. I think you've had your fair share of your Nations League football and the classics that are there in those games. I'm sure you've enjoyed. The sudden spike in coronavirus cases, Juventus having to pull out from this round, the coming up round, and everything else. We'll get on to that, but our primary job here is to look at the Premier League, look at the matches that are coming up, and it's going to be a fantastic weekend because we kick off the weekend with, and I have nowhere else to start, Sushil. We kick off the weekend with the Merseyside Derby, a fixture wherein Everton haven't registered a victory for like 10 years now.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
reading 2010 was the last time they won
It's
any
been a long
Merseyside
time.
derby. I'm sure they must be keen to set some records straight. And of course, for
Home
Liverpool,
and away.
Yeah,
yeah, home and
yeah.
away, and in
Wow,
cup fixtures.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
So,
Cup they did beat us once, if I'm not wrong. But
very
yeah,
good.
I think
Carling Cup
Premier
is
League.
Premier League
Yeah,
matters
yeah,
here. Come
Still
on.
yeah,
incredible. It's still incredible. That's 20 matches without a
Yeah.
victory. So
yeah.
incredible there.
Mm.
So Sushil, how do you see that match going? In a way,
Man.
you guys are playing the form team of the Premier League at the moment, and I don't know
Hmm.
in your Liverpool supporting days how many times you would have even said that about him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the first thing I want to say about the COVID thing, I just opened up my fantasy Premier League team today, and there were four Reds that wasn't the case before I closed for the international break. So I'm wondering if that's because of COVID, but we'll find
Yeah,
out.
I had Tierney, man. I had Tierney.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, Everton, they've had an excellent start to the season. They've been looking really good. It's not like those have been fluky wins. So, this particular fixture, I think, is going to be a real test for Liverpool, particularly given that they had a pretty horrendous performance last time around. So, it's going to be a real test for them. In terms of Everton themselves, I think their midfield's been kicking. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's been excellent. He scored again during the international break, so he's going to be a huge threat. Liverpool, I think the good thing is, since we were talking about COVID, Mane and Thiago were sidelined because they had a positive COVID diagnosis, so they're back in the lineup now, which is good news. I think particularly Mane was someone we missed. Henderson had a run in the international break with the England team, so he's fit as well. So I'm hoping to see a lot of the more influential players in the team. I know Thiago's not been there that long, but he's someone who brings a lot of influence to midfield. So I'm hoping to see them back in the lineup. Henderson, Thiago, all of these guys, and Mane, obviously. So I'm really looking forward to the fixture. I think it'll be a real test of Liverpool's credentials for this season. They have done pretty well before the last fixture, so maybe this is just me being a little too cynical about their chances. But I think this will be a big game for them.
All right, all right. That's. I think you're right there to think that Everton's gonna pose a good challenge to Liverpool. And on that note, I'll come to Pratmesh there. Pratmesh, what do you think? What do you make of Everton this season, and what do you make of the new signings? And the way Ancelotti's been able to sort of galvanize their team from the very get-go. I think at this point, as I look at my stats, Everton are like 7 games unbeaten, and this is the best start to their season for them, I think, in 40 to 50 years. So, so these are uncharted territories for Everton. How do you think they're going there?
well. Before I really get on to that, I think two memories that I really like and cherished about the Merseyside derby. The first one was Phil Jagielka's screamer in front of the cop. I mean, no one could ever forget that moment. I think United played Leicester after that game, so I was watching that like the last 10-15 minutes of the Merseyside derby. We all know how the Leicester game panned out, but this Phil Jagielka goal is something out of the world. The next one obviously is
Yeah.
what happened at Anfield. With again at Anfield where it was Divock Origi, I think, who scored that very 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 late
The
goal,
one
Yep.
that
and
bounced
yeah,
off the
yeah,
crossbar.
when it bounced with the
Yeah.
crossbar,
Yeah.
That
and
was
the
Pickford at
whole
his
team
best.
on the pitch. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that was an incredible moment and probably one of the most precious memories of the Merseyside derby. I don't think the last Merseyside derby was really eventful than nil. But yeah, I think coming to Everton, what I saw from Ancelotti in the summer was he had a proper structure in mind when he made those signings. I think they really needed to galvanize the midfield with Alan, with Ducore, who they have been targeting for quite a while now, to be honest. And I think James Rodriguez has just been probably the James Rodriguez we saw with Colombia in the World Cup. And I think we never saw that exact same James Rodriguez after Madrid time. But I think we're seeing that now what James actually brings to the game. I really like Ben Godfrey, the signing from Norwich as well, because I think uh, he is not just someone who is good defensively; he's really good on the ball as well. He was a defensive midfielder to start his game out, so I think that kind of helped him to be good on the ball. He's got a solid command around his box, such a young player as well. And I think him with Michael Keane or even Yerry Mina for that matter would be a good combination. And Luca Dean are really excited. So I think I look at this Everton team now, with it gives a sense of hope to every Evertonian fan. And I think that makes that in itself is such a big thing that Everton fans actually go into a Merseyside derby
Yeah.
10 years later and now they're thinking, okay, we actually have a chance of winning the game. And for some very optimistic Everton fans, this is a season where they could actually challenge for the title as well. You never know what can happen. So I think with his signing, what I've seen that he has got people who are ready to snap into a challenge. He's got people who will always fight for every 50-50. He's got people who have won things elsewhere. He's got people who have that extra stamina around him. And he's got people, most importantly, who are able to contribute to the score sheet. So I think it makes a lot of sense the way Ancelotti is building it now. It looks like an Ancelotti team now.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It does look like Ancelotti's sort of spent his money very wisely, and he's curated a squad of players, I think, which will help him move ahead. And move ahead is what we'll do as well. We'll move on to the next fixture here. Another, I think, the second of the two big fixtures on the Saturday night. That is, the almost the second last fixture of the night. That's City versus Arsenal, and we'll start with Sulaksh here. Sulaksh, this is going to be an interesting match for you guys for sure. City come to this match on the back of a draw, and before that they had a resounding defeat at home to Leicester. We've seen the same problems plague City again at the start of this season, and also the fact that they've had some players who've misfired. They still have new signings who are going to settle in. People like Ruben Diaz. I don't know after Ronaldo's positive test how he's placed either, as compared to the COVID scenario is concerned. How do you think? How do you think the match will go? How do you rate Manchester City? And what do you have to say about Arsenal's start? I think you're the only other team beyond Everton and Newcastle, I think, who's won 3 matches.
Yeah, no, so am really happy with the start. I think this has been the common feeling around Arsenal fans because we've seen a boost in our playing style. We've seen us play more confidently out the back, and we've seen at the addition of some very, very capable individuals. So it's a positive outlook. With Manchester City, it is something that has always been a very tricky topic because mostly we go out there and we get smashed, and it's always a always a performance where we end up discussing the defensive frailties that Arsenal have. But I was very surprised and shocked and happy to see that when Manchester City are giving points away in the start of the season, especially that game against Leicester. One thing that I really liked was that it wasn't something. I mean, full points to Leicester full points to Leicester, for making it a game that looked very one-sided. But they did not really do anything that was out of the ordinary. It was just direct play that got them all the 5 goals and just putting pressure on the back line of the City defense. So that's something that I think is a game plan that Arteta also follows, and that's something we could see.
Yeah, and sorry, just a little apologies for the disturbance there.
Appearance
No,
from the
it's
father.
okay.
So my dad's really excited. He's a massive Kings 11 fan, and Kings 11
Yeah, they just
won the
won.
match.
Yeah,
Just
I
won the
don't.
match
I
in the
thought
last over.
I thought
Trust
So yeah,
me, I was seriously biting my nails. What a
okay.
stupid match that was. What a stupid match.
I
Thank
know.
God you brought that
I
topic
know,
up.
Anand.
My
I
God,
thought
bro.
I thought your
Stupidity,
dad I
literally.
thought your dad was
Ah,
a City
No,
fan as well,
my dad's a
but
massive Kings
Phillips
11
has
fan, bro. My dad's a massive.
right now, I am your dad. I mean, just in terms of the
My dad is
reaction.
knocking on my door. So
Oh my God, it was
right
so
after the video, I'll
horrible.
run to him and congratulate him.
So
Anyway,
anyway,
yeah,
coming back to
Yeah.
the
coming
topic.
back to Arsenal, yeah.
Another thing, like I heard you say, I think Kieran Tierney might actually play because Arsenal have I think put in an appeal saying that he's already been on his, like he's been following all the protocols and he's not been in contact with the players that have tested positive. So there's a hope for that. But yes, as Sushil mentioned, even I opened my team and I saw a lot of reds. So might be
Yeah.
seeing a couple of wild cards played this game week, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, with Man City as well, when you talk about Arsenal and the effect of Arteta, I think our channel will end up being named the sports doyen of Arteta. I think if we talk about him so much, but if you do talk about Mikel
But
Arteta,
let's not focus on Arteta then.
yeah, so that's what
I
I'm
want
saying. If you do
to
talk about Arteta that much, I think we're doing a bit of a disservice to the players as well.
No, it's
And as far as
definitely-
Arsenal are concerned, you've got Thomas Partey to look forward to. You might have, I don't know what is the scenario with Saliba. I don't know if he will start and all. Arsenal do have a few players.
So Saliba basically is not really in Arteta's plans as it looks for this year at least, because he's been told that he wants him to either gain more experience outside of the league, and now if that's not possible, they're not willing to send him to the championship, so he'll just have to kind of play that second fiddle role. And I think the plan for him is to be a replacement to David Luiz when he leaves in a couple of years, hopefully in this year, if not another two. One thing that I wanted to discuss was our tendency to falter when we concede a goal. So that is something that we are not very good with, like staying in the game under pressure. And that is something that has changed in the last 6-8 months. If you see, there have been a lot of games where we've gone goal down. Most prominent example would be the FA Cup final, where that goal went in by Pulisic, and we were all, there goes Arsenal again. So it was such an easy goal to witness. Like it was just a couple of 1-2s and we get opened up. So, but we did rally back, and that's something that I expect, because I know Manchester City. Let's not take the 5-2 and everything into account, because we've seen it a lot of times. Man City are on a patchy form. We are on a good form. And we go there with the belief that this will be the day we're going to break that curse, and then we get smashed 3-0 and we get DTN troops outside the Etihad crying their eyes out.
Man.
So it's going to be a tough challenge, but I think we are very well placed because of the couple of factors that I've mentioned, and also because of the lack of fans. So that just takes away the pressure of playing out of the back style, and it just gives the players more time to concentrate on what they've been practicing rather than trying to please the fans.
Yeah, some would say Etihad is always empty anyway. So yeah, Anurag, coming to that, talking about Man City, I think Sulaksh more or less covered the Arsenal aspect there. Even to an extent, the City strategy as well. How do you see them? How do you see them approaching the game? Because I'm sure there is only one way Pep approaches any game. I'm sure he approaches it to win. And considering City's record versus Arsenal over the past few years, it's been quite fantastic. I think it's been like 4 to 5 years since Arsenal last won at the Emirates. Sorry, Etihad. I don't even know when they last defeated City at the Emirates.
In 2015, January 2015, they won 2-0. So that was the last time Arsenal won against City.
No. At Etihad, we also won in December 2016 against City at the Emirates when Walcott scored a worldie.
Yeah.
Bro, I just I wrote down all those statistics just now. I'm not sure. I think of what I've researched.
So
Yeah, it's the Emirates. I'm talking about only the Etihad.
Yeah, Etihad,
he's
you're right. Etihad, you're right. That was
yeah,
the
Etihad.
famous
So yeah,
performance
again they
where
have not.
everyone
Yeah,
thought that Arsenal had turned the
that,
corner,
yeah,
and you
Yeah,
had
turn the corner and
Cazorla running the
yeah,
show and Giroud actually finishing. So, I mean, we've seen it before,
Yeah.
basically
So
Arsene
yeah,
Wenger changing
changing his
strategy
formation.
and
Yeah, that was,
always
Yeah.
but he
yeah.
didn't
So
stick to it.
Anurag, coming back to you, how do you think City will approach the game? I don't think we ever got started with that.
yeah. Lol. Yeah, precisely. So I think again, it'll be tough for Arteta's team to keep any sort of possession. They'll again, you're gonna see a 70-30 sort of thing again. I think that's needless to say. Uh, uh, Again, another statistics that really has been impressive is only only two times in Manchester City's history they've lost two of their opening games at home. That happened once in 1930, and the other time it happened in 1953. So if
Wow.
they do end up losing this game, it'll be only the third time. So, and there is a good case for it because they've looked vulnerable against counters right from last seasons when they played against Wolves. They played against Manchester United when they played against. Uh, I think they drew against Newcastle, who were again playing the same counter strategy. Every team who's played the counter strategy, they found some way against Manchester City, and it's because of how high they play. And I think again,
I
Arsenal
think
have
they
the
lost to
quality
Spurs,
to
if you remember, in
expose them.
January.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also
Yeah,
Against
the
exactly. Yeah.
Norwich loss at the early part of last season.
Oh, Norwich. I think yeah, it all started
yeah,
there. It all started with that
Knowledge.
game,
Yeah.
honestly. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So again, there is great scope that again Pep could blow it up. Uh, their centre backs, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what kind of a change if Ruben Diaz can bring it, given he plays. Uh, I think it's going to be pretty much the same way with how City have approached in the last 2 years. There's not going to be a whole lot of difference there, but again, it's a flip of coin. One day they could go and bang those 3 or 4 goals. That is very much possible. And on another day it would be a 2-1 or 3-1 to Arsenal. So
Yeah.
this is going to be a lot more interesting than it has been over the years. That is one thing for sure.
Wow, completely. I
yeah,
mean, if ever there was someone sitting on the fence, bro.
yeah.
But okay,
Yeah,
Kusagra,
very
enough
much.
about Kusagra.
we'll come to the predictions at the end, and I'll make sure that at least most of you don't go for a draw at least in either
Yeah,
of the games.
Yeah.
Just the two highlighted games that I have in front of me, actually three of them. I won't want to spend so much time on them, but because theoretically they should be easy games for the bigger side. But then what is? So Chelsea take on Southampton, West Ham take on Tottenham, and Newcastle take on Manchester United. We've got some really interesting games, and we'll start with Tottenham because they've got potentially got Gareth Bale who's going to be in the starting lineup or in the 18 at least. So that's definitely something to look forward to for Spurs fans and for Premier League fans in general, because I remember Gareth Bale is, even though he's not played for United or anything like that, he's one of my favorite players in the last 10 to 15 years, especially in the Premier League. Those 3 to 4 seasons when he was at his absolute peak in the Premier League from 2009-10 onwards till about 13 when he left for Real Madrid. It was some of the most enjoyable years, watching him pick up the ball and shoot. So that's something that I'd really be looking forward to. Gareth Bale with a number 9 at his back would look really weird.
yeah,
Can't wait for Lamella to leave so that he can at least have his own number back. I know a lot of people say numbers don't mean anything, but for me, there's some consonance with Bale 11, Bale 9 is just weird.
Yeah.
Bale
It's
9
like
is
Ronaldo 9.
yeah, Ronaldo
Cristiano
9 is just,
Ronaldo.
it didn't make sense
Those
for
2
me
years were
because there had already been one R9, and
Yeah.
he was not
Yeah.
R9. So and it's the same
Seven.
thing. Like William Gallas wearing number 10. I always wanted to
Oh,
puke if I
no.
was for them.
Garbage.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we don't need to talk about that. But yeah, so that's my lookout for point in West Ham versus Tottenham. Sushil, how do you think the Newcastle United game will go? And I'll make sure I don't ask this of a United fan because I don't want to talk to them about this.
yeah. I wanted to.
I'll come for the Chelsea Southampton match to you.
I'm coming
enough.
to Jose, man.
Yeah.
Always.
I think Callum Wilson's been in really good form since the start of the season, right?
Yeah.
And given United's defensive troubles, I think he'll be the biggest threat or maybe the most important player in that game. Have you guys had any run-ins with COVID at all?
Bruno
or
could
the
be.
squad's pretty much
Bruno
fine?
could be quarantined.
Those rumors have been trashed out.
Okay.
Yeah, there were some people who were
Hmm.
telling Bruno potentially could be sitting
Okay.
out, but
We still don't know though.
Okay.
They
apparently it
played a
is not.
match
He will
last
play. Yeah.
night, so I don't
Okay.
we're not sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in all
Okay.
probability, he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
In all
Okay.
probability, because he's tested negative.
All right. I think overall it should be an interesting game. Like we said since the start of the season, United haven't looked that convincing, and Newcastle have actually looked decent. I won't say they've
Yes,
looked
they
excellent,
look
but
good.
they've
We got
yeah
a
they've
point away at Spurs as well.
yeah. So my guess would be that this will be a game worth watching, and it might turn into one of those games where it's not very high scoring, but it still ends up disappointing for United fans. A 1-0 loss, 0-0 draw, 1-1 draw, something like that is what I'd say.
And Sean Longstaff is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gotten fit for this
Those two
game.
brothers, man.
Matty is gone, no? I think
Matty is back. He's been
he's
back
back.
from the injury.
He was supposed to
Hmm.
leave.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if he's there.
No, he was supposed to
Okay.
leave. He didn't go.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
and coming to the last match in focus in the Premier League at least, Pratmesh, we've got Chelsea versus Southampton. I think one can expect a routine victory. Just a quick couple of words on your end.
Yeah, I think you can expect a routine victory for Chelsea in a sense, but I again look at Chelsea and I think whether Danny Ings can actually get on the defensive score goals, yes he can. Whether Nathan Redmond can trouble Chelsea's defense, yes he can. And whether even Armstrong for that matter can actually trouble the defense, yes he can. So basically that game also might just end up being slightly interesting towards the first 15-20 minutes. Probably if Southampton scores first, we're going to have a cracking game. Otherwise, I think it should be not a routine, comfortable Chelsea victory, but I think Chelsea would get over the line. I was just about to say, Kushagra, that enough of the progressive attacking football. I wanted to talk about pragmatism. I want to talk about Jose. And I think I've seen enough of Jose smile over the last 2 weeks, obviously because the 6-1 as well. But I think Tottenham suddenly start looking like one of those teams who could actually challenge for a top four position. I think the signings have been really clever. I think Jose understands that he's not going to be at the club for a long time either. So he's looked at Reguilon and probably said, even if I get 2 years out of him, that's enough for me. He's looked at Bale and probably said, probably at least for the next 1 year, he has got Gareth Bale with him. I know Bale 9 looks awkward, but I think that is what it's going to be. Basically, they signed Bale to replace Bale, which they should have, I think, 7 years back. So, and I think I'm just looking at that Tottenham team and I start thinking probably this is a top four team this season. And I like, even if it's pragmatic, I don't care how they get it. I think for Tottenham fans, most importantly, it's about getting over the line for them. And you can't talk about pragmatism when you score 6 goals at Old Trafford. They have been brilliant. Kane and Son probably are the best two forward players in the Premier League right now. Just going on form as well as their talent. I know there are a lot of duos who can actually challenge them, but it looks on form table at least that those two are building a really good connection between themselves as well. Kane has assisted 5 goals to from the last 2 games.
Yeah, agreed. I think Tottenham are shaping up to be a very, very interesting team going ahead. I think that about covers it for us, guys. I'll just ask the viewers to keep it logged because we do have a special podcast on the project Big Picture that's going to come out, and today itself it was resoundingly said no to amongst all the Premier League boards, and in fact it happened yesterday. But we've seen a sort of a power grab from the end of Liverpool and Manchester United, and I wouldn't want to take too much time here to discuss this, Sushil and Anurag, but just coming to you guys, just as a couple of words, as in how do you, just for our viewers,
Sure.
if you could explain it to our viewers in a more simpler
Okay.
terms,
Yep.
what
Yep.
exactly
Yeah.
is the process and what are they proposing and what has been rejected?
Anurag, you want to go?
Yeah,
Or should
I'll
I?
just put
Yeah.
it in a very small
Sure.
sentence.
Go ahead.
So
Yeah.
basically, for those who are not understanding what this project big picture could be, it is Manchester United and Liverpool. They've proposed an idea wherein all the big six clubs who generate most of the revenue in terms of television viewership and merchandise and stuff like that. These 5 or 6 teams, they are going to take major chunk of the power in terms of voting rights. When it comes to major decision making, they will have a major say in it, and in return, they are going to promise a certain fixed amount of money for all the clubs. I think it goes till the second division as well, if I'm not wrong.
All four
So
divisions. Yeah.
this is what they're yeah, all
Yeah.
four divisions in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what they want is they want the power, and they are going to give all the clubs a certain promised money. This could have been accepted, because considering some bottom league clubs, their revenues might be a little shaky. Sometimes it could be high, sometimes it could be incredibly low. For them to have a fixed income, that could have been a attract. Again, Liverpool and United have been slapped left, right, and center. So that's what happened. Sushil can explain it a little better.
Yeah, sure, sure. So, I think you mentioned most of the key points there. Some of the other things
Yeah.
that were proposed include reducing the number of clubs from 20 to 18, eliminating
Yeah.
the EFL Cup and the Community Shield that I'm a huge fan of, as in the elimination of them. And also, there would be a change in the way the money is allocated. So, teams that are higher up in the league would get a larger share of broadcast revenue, which is not what the case is right now in the Premier League, but that is the case in
Yeah.
La Liga. So overall, I think Anurag's already covered what the intent was. I think if you look at who would have benefited from this, it's pretty obvious. It's the top six. I know Liverpool and Man United are getting a lot of the flack right now, but
But
you
it was the
cannot.
top six, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't
Exactly. And it's not like Chelsea, Tottenham, City, Arsenal were not, kept in the loop. I think some of them were, some of them weren't, but all of them would have benefited, right? And the other set of people who would have benefited, or teams that would have benefited, is all the other divisions in England, because their percentage share of revenue from the Premier League would have gone up from 8% to 25%, which is a huge jump. It's almost thrice as much. So that being the case, who ends up losing? It's everyone else in the Premier League, which they didn't want. And because each team in the Premier League has equal votes, it didn't pass. And I
But
think, yeah, so
yes,
just one last point. And I think while the intention is probably to, grab power in the Premier League, I think there is something to be said about the fact that those six teams are probably the only reason anyone watches the English Premier League outside of England,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
And
it's a little far-fetched to say that,
I'd,
I think
Mhm.
you have like 8 to 9 teams in the Premier League now which have global fan bases, and
which is fair enough, but I'd
which
still
would be
hazard.
unfair thing to say that 6 teams.
I'd still say 80% of those fans probably support one of these six teams, right?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
and the point is,
The thing
yeah,
is, the polarization of the league that will happen.
that
Once
is true.
I
That is
think
true.
we
Yeah.
can do this week. This is an interesting debate. I think we should have a
Yeah,
separate
yeah,
podcast
we
on
should
that.
have a separate debate.
You
Yeah,
know, I don't know if I really want to see Premier League go the La Liga way, wherein you've got that
Yeah.
pre-split with Real and Barca taking the most amount, and then Atletico getting a small chunk of the pie, and everyone else getting a chapati for their year. So I would not. I would want people to actually get a
No,
fair
because
share.
I think this is the exact sort of thing that when they started the Premier League, this is what they wanted to avoid, and
exactly.
Yeah.
started the Premier League. So now that
Exactly.
with a
There was
20-20-30 year cycle, we're coming back to the same thing. It makes
yes.
for me it
Sulaksh
makes no sense.
Sulaksh is spot on that. This was one of the primary reasons given by these clubs to break away from the football league, and now you're
Yeah.
trying to. It
Now you're
sounds
trying
very
to do the same
hypocritical,
thing
and
because
also anything with the
talk
Glazer
about
stamp
the-
on it, I would say just bloody bin it. Anything they touch is poison. So
Interestingly, just a final point. Interestingly, the meeting that you mentioned at the start, where this proposal was rejected, had two very notable absences. John W. Henry and Joel Glazer were both missing from
Yeah.
because they don't have
Yeah.
the balls to do it, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
that. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, I
go
read
on.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
I
moving
think
on.
just a small mention before we wrap it up. There is another very, it could be a dark horse sort of a game, but it looks very interesting on paper. Which is Leeds against Wolves, which will happen on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So I'm actually
Yeah.
expecting some good football in that game too.
It's gonna be great football versus a great defense. Let's see what that goes.
Yeah.
Because I think that'll be an interesting match to watch. One again, just for our West Ham fans, Ben Rama seems to have signed for your club, and he's having a medical as right now as we speak, and I think that'll be one fantastic
Great
signing for
signing.
the club. West Ham as Arsenal, as Sulak would attest to, they gave Arsenal also a tough fight. So one can expect them to give Tottenham a good fight as well over the coming weekend. So once again, thank you so much, boys, for joining me here. Pratmesh, Sushil, Anurag, and Sulaksh, of course. Thank you so much, and do stay safe. Hope all of your supported teams win or at least give you a positive result over the weekend. And I hope the same for you guys as well. Of course, not everyone can win. Learn from us, United fans. Learn to be giving. So give your points away. Enjoy your life, and let's hope for an interesting Premier League over the weekend. And just be happy football's back.